Hello and welcome to Bandy, a podcast about being flexible in all of the ways that means. Thanks for joining us. My name is Andy Young, and I'm one of your standard ordinary hosts. Joining me as always is our other standard and ordinary host, Beth Martin. Beth, a pleasure as always. What's the crack?
Standard and ordinary. I don't know about that.
Exactly. We're throwing off the shackles of being standard and ordinary, but just for the comedic
Just for the,
the
yeah.
question and quotation marks premise at the start of our episode, we are standard and ordinary.
Are you wearing your Idols t-shirt?
Yeah, this is what I was telling you about with
So
the
good.
tiger and the lightning bolt, and it
Oh,
says
okay. So
this is
I'm gonna
the
switch
hard
to
rock for pussies.
Hard
Sorry.
Rock for Pussies.
Yeah.
So can I switch to a current before I go?
Sure.
Because
That's
it's
who gives a fuck? It's
someone
2025.
I know, right? There are no more rules for us,
Yeah.
Andy. Um, Someone posted on the episode that we talked about idols, which if people care to look back and find out which one that was,
Mhm.
good luck.
Yeah.
Uh,
No more than
I don't
us.
remember.
No.
Right. But Andy got a t-shirt at a rock concert and
Mhm.
it's funny and it's got a snarling tiger and like lightning bolts on it.
Yeah.
So I posted the short video of that to YouTube maybe, and someone was like, "Yes, or you could both slash wrists." And I was like, what does that mean?
Okay.
And I Googled it and I couldn't find anything. So I wanted to see because, you're Andy's down with the streets, that
Holy
maybe that's like,
shit. I
I
don't
don't think it's
know.
a compliment though.
Like it's as in the slash symbol or the
Both,
actual.
both slash symbol wrists.
Wow. Okay.
I
Okay.
hope
Okay.
he's not telling us to like
Slash our
off
wrists. Yeah.
ourselves, right?
I mean, don't
So,
threaten me with a good time is what I
I
say.
know, right?
I look into this.
Yeah. Anyways,
Okay.
so the crack, I don't know, it was the fucking holidays.
Yeah, yeah, it was a holiday. So just for context, folks, this is our first episode back in 2025.
We haven't seen each other in 2 weeks,
It's true.
which like, um, I don't think we've gone longer than 2 weeks without
I
chit-chatting
think that's true. Yeah, that
or
is true.
seeing each other
It has. It's
in
been really been quite a
over a
while.
year.
It
Yeah.
has. It's
So,
getting close to like 2 years of like
uh-huh.
regular regular
Hmm.
chats. It's great. And it's
You're
weird
welcome.
then whenever we don't see each other. So
It
yeah, so
is
this is gonna
like
be
life doesn't, there's like a piece missing.
it's true.
So,
So this is gonna
um,
have a special chaotic energy
yes, yes,
this week.
right. So we had my parents-in-law and I guess what would their dog be if their dog was a human?
Oh God, okay. So we would be there. Uh dog
So
son?
Mike's
Dog daughter? Doggy
well, they're
daughter?
doggy daughter, so my sister-in-law dog
Yes. So you're
also flew on the plane. So we had two dogs and like eight people in the house
cool.
for like 7 days. It was lovely. my
Does
my mother-in-law is probably watching or listening. So hi Ruth.
hi.
Hi. But we had a great time. It was lovely. Got to see the kids, did all the things, and uh, but I think, we've escaped the United States for the last 13 years and only missed a couple years because of COVID. So this is like the third year in like, I don't know, 13 years that we've been in the States.
Yeah.
And we thought it was maybe living in Oregon and the rain. And then we realized, no, it's actually living in the United States during the holiday.
Living in
I
America.
know, I know. So like partway through, Mike's just like, I miss Maria. And
Oh,
I was like, I'm so glad we're on the same page. And then like at the end of the holidays, like once everything was like buttoned up and, we'd done all the things, he was like, if I added this up, I know it would be a trip for four to Maria. So like we're going again.
I love it.
Yeah. So if we get the same house
Hmm.
that we normally get, it's a 3 bedroom.
Okay.
I'm
All
just
right.
throwing this out here
Okay. I'm
a
interested.
year, a year in advance. Just come
Okay.
for like a week, you
Sure.
know?
I'd love to get into Mariah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so
Let me think
okay.
about this.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, that sounds great. Do the dogs get on? Was my
Oh God, they love
main.
each other.
Okay, that's good. Perfect. That's all you want.
Although Star gets like grabby and bossy, and like, cause the other dog's like smaller, she's like a Yorkie,
Okay.
so she weighs like I don't know 4 pounds. Lots of personality, so she
Hmm.
doesn't like being short, and she'll stand at your feet and just like bark at you and like kick her back feet at you until you pick her up,
I love it.
and then she like sticks her tongue down your mouth. So
Oh God, yeah, okay. Classic dog shit. They're
I know, right?
going
It
for
was
French
good.
kisses
It
immediately.
was pretty cute. It was nice. I like it's in the back of my mind. I'm like, does Star need a friend?
Hmm. Yeah,
But she
yeah.
also likes her routine and like, eating cheese in bed at night with us. And so
And she doesn't want it to have to share that cheese. Do you know what I
she
mean?
does not.
No.
No, like,
Fuck sharing
yeah,
cheese, like it's a
yeah,
what a disaster.
yeah.
Um,
And also, my mom went to Germany and mailed us a bunch of like German mustard because Mike is like a mustard fanatic.
okay.
And it's become something like that's like Simpson-esque, where every meal he brings out 8 different mustards and tests them all with whatever he's eating. I'm gonna send you a picture.
That's amazing.
And he's got this like car part
Uh-huh.
that's like it's a car accessory where
Uh-huh.
if you like tubes of like whatever lubes or grease and you crank this thing and it pushes all the glue or whatever to the front so you can like squeeze it out and you're like not
Okay.
missing. He's
Yes.
brought that into the house for these tubes of mustard because I didn't know that German mustard comes in like tubes, like toothpaste. So,
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah, right. So it's been hilarious.
That's so good. That's amazing.
So
I did not know
far,
that.
the middle Scherfer is our favorite.
Okay. That's good to know. Wow. Was your mom in Germany recently then? Over
Yeah,
Christmas? Okay.
like
Wow.
right
Oh,
before Christmas.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very
Yep.
good.
Yep.
Fantastic. That's I did not know that about like Mike and mustard. That's so great.
Like he has a problem.
Good. He's got the solution. More
I
mustard.
know. And everything, like I'm having some health stuff that maybe I'll talk about, maybe I won't. But he's
Yes.
just like, he keeps being like, I'll be like, blah, 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 blah. And he'll be like, you know what you need. And I'm like, mustard. He's like, mm-hmm.
Perfect.
The
He's got.
solution used to be for me to take a shit, but now the solution's mustard.
I mean, why not combine the two? A little bit of
Right.
before or after, obviously. Just make sure you wash your hands.
I know.
Um, I love it. So
What about
I,
you?
okay, yeah. So I have also had. I mean, what have I done? Like, so, like, I had so lead up to Christmas was lovely. I had a few different events. Oh, I haven't even talked about my karaoke Christmas party happened since last I spoke to you.
How did it go?
It was good. Like, I mean,
Good.
I've got to say a handful. Okay, so there's some information that I need to share with you about it, but like, I'd say about 15 people dropped out the day beforehand, and I was like, God damn. But c'est la vie. I invite like too many people anyway. We
Mhm.
still had about 15 people turn up, which is plenty for a party. But I had completely overprepared food wise, so there was far too much shit there. There was a freaking like a bucket of salsa that I had hand chopped and
Oh God.
guacamole and stuff. But I don't regret it. It means I can eat like lots of salsa. And right, here's the thing that I ended up making. I don't think I discussed this with you, and it feels like it's an American thing. But I was going to make some mulled wine,
Mm.
but what I have in the house that I was trying to use up was bottles of rum. So I made hot buttered rum instead, and it was fantastic.
We don't, I mean, it's like we know it's more, I would say like the drink of the winter time is a hot toddy.
I was gonna say like eggnog is a big deal as well, isn't it?
Eggnog is a big deal. We
Yeah.
did buy the eggnog. I did have a sip of the eggnog. It's just a weird, it's not my favorite drink. It's like,
I,
I don't know how you pasteurize eggs in a drink,
well,
but
this is
hopefully
true.
it's pasteurized because it's like raw egg, nutmeg, cinnamon,
Yeah,
maybe. and then like heavy milk, or it's, I don't know what the recipe is.
Like it's not, I think you can't get it here, but it's not common, so I've never tried it, but I am curious because I do like a lot of those spices. But I thought the hot butter drum would be like that, but it was more what somebody compared it to, and I think I've had this once, is they call it like bulletproof coffee, where they make coffee with butter.
Yep.
So you have that kind of creamy texture, and
Yep.
it was like delightful. Like, and I had two cups of it, and my friend was looking at me, and this was like 30 minutes to an hour into the party, and my friend was like, "Your eyes look glassy already," and I'm like, "Okay, let's put the hot butter drum down, move on to something lighter," and I didn't
I love
regret
drinks
that.
like that where like I could drink 40 of these and I should, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah, but. There was a hardcore squad of us who were up to 3 a.m. that morning, which is like the only thing that will keep me up that late is karaoke, basically,
Cocaine.
because I just well, yeah, that will also do the trick. Uh karaoke, wait a minute, can I karaoke? Let me think about this. I could go all night. But it was just so much fun. Like it was
I'm so
just
glad.
yeah, and it was just and I just like I got through my list of new karaoke songs I wanted to sing and all that. But so it was a lovely night. I then had a couple of like invites to other things that people had on, and I was like, do I have the stamina for this or do I want to do it? But they were actually really lovely, and it was one of these, both of them, other friends weren't really able to go, so it was kind of me going by myself. And like there would be people I knew there, but nobody I was like I was like, oh, here's my
Ooh, I
safety.
get to see. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It wasn't my like safety person, so I could just be like, "Oh, I'm just going to talk to you tonight," which turned out to be great for me because I ended up having nice conversations with people that haven't really talked to before, and it was a lovely kind of segue into Christmas itself in that way. Which was
So
love.
I forgot because we talked about it last year, but I don't remember. Like, do you guys, do your family, do you go to your parents' house and do like the whole Christmas morning stockings?
No, I mean we haven't done that for a
Or
long
is it
time.
okay?
So what I did was okay. Let me tell you what I did for my uh Christmas morning. So like I said, I was at a thing on Christmas Eve with some friends, came home, stayed here, got up, took Sasha for a nice walk. We just went out for a bit of a bigger walk, came back, made myself and her scrambled eggs and smoked salmon. Which she loved. Just a little bit of smoked salmon for everybody who's alarmed. She can have that. Which she devoured. And then what I do is we kind of go and visit aunts and uncles, me and my sister, like about late morning, early afternoon. Then I go to my parents. We have dinner together, or sorry, like a dinner lunch, type thing.
Yeah,
And then
Leonard.
pl- dinner, exactly. Just that, the way like it's just a day of eating on Christmas Day, so
Yes,
just that.
yes.
And then just play board games with them, which was lovely. So it was nice, and it was just kind of fairly low key, and it was just kind of what I was looking for. And because I was like traveling the next day, I just went home, kind of packed my bags, and just kind of got ready for that.
That's
So
perfect.
it really was. It was ideal. So yeah, I don't know if I did mention it in previous episodes, but I went to Scotland. On Boxing Day, I came back just in the second there, which was just a few days ago. Um, it was lovely. I did the same thing last year. It was just great. It's like with one of my dearest friends, spent time with him. Also, saw some like absolutely incredible people that I don't get to see as often as I would like when so it was really just fantastic to spend time with people. A lot of things, too many things to talk about, but it was just we did our Panto again, which was fantastic. It was like same as last year, very close to the knuckle, lots of fourth wall breaking, just lots of good jokes, which I really enjoyed. The
We need to do an episode on Panto at some point.
We
It's still
do.
on the list, and I still
So
don't understand it.
okay, then let's definitely do that. Let's do it soon. In that case, while I'm
Okay.
still like got Panto in my head.
Right,
But
right, right.
the name of the Panto was let me get this right. Peter Panto and the Incredible Stinker Bell. And it was like a lot of fart jokes. A lot of fart jokes. Um,
That's just good theater.
it is. Um, so I have so I also went to the Keeley, and I have a pretty big update for fans of the podcast when it comes to Keeley. I wore my utility kilt to the Keeley. with paired it with a traditional Scottish Hawaiian shirt. I'm pretty certain. Um, and it was great fun. And I ended up going to a house party afterwards. And like, I was in that sort of drunk place where I just ended up talking to a guest from that party for like about 2 hours solid, which I just do not do. And it was very nice. Um, but yeah, and then it was just like a couple of days recovering, coming back here. I spent a few days down in Enniskillen seeing my friend down there again. And yeah, and then I'm just like, jolted back to reality over the past few days. But it was a lovely break and it was much needed.
Good. How's your general mood overall?
Definitely better. That's what I was chatting about earlier. I feel like over the past few years, coming into the new year has I have found very difficult, and I have then found it very hard to like shake that feeling for a long, long time. Like I think it has run into March and April of the past few years, but I feel okay this year. I mean, I don't know what has changed. I don't like I can't put my finger on it because like, good things were happening over the past 2 years as well. But so
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm kind of staying like vigilant about it and I'm just going to, trying not to overwhelm myself, too fast, too soon, which is my classic maneuver, honestly. But having said that, the choir is starting on Wednesday, so we'll see how it goes.
Yay.
But yeah,
Good.
so
I'm
yeah,
pleased for you because,
thank you.
I
I,
I mean, since we've been like friends, just I know, and even before like podcasting and all that, like you would just kind of send me a message and be like, I hate this time of year, and I'd be like, oh my God, me too.
yeah, it's just
Like,
tough, and
mhm.
it's hard to communicate to people. I think as well, or some people are like, well, it's just don't worry about it, just ignore it. It's like, how do you ignore it? It's impossible. It's virtually everywhere. But hard not to get into that sort of lonely state of mind. I think I certainly that's what I find anyway. So it's been good, and I haven't really felt that this year. So yeah, so long may it continue.
Good.
I have one last story, just which I think you'll enjoy.
Okay.
So it
Lay it on
was
me.
I was flying home from Edinburgh on the 2nd
Mhm.
of January, and went in due to get my plane. Wasn't sure if it was still there anymore, but there was a Krispy Kreme donuts stand in Edinburgh Airport.
Ooh.
So we don't have Krispy Kreme, like and I'm kind of mostly over Krispy Kreme now, but we don't have them in Northern Ireland or Ireland, in fact. Or actually, there's maybe one in Dublin now. It's not important. So if I get an opportunity to get Krispy Kreme, I both text my sister if she wants me to get her some, and then I, go and pick one up. Anyway, I was like, I'll go and get donuts while I'm waiting. Why not? It's one last fat bastard treat before I hit the road. So I went over, and there was a group of three kids and their mother were like, standing around the cabinet looking at the different donuts and things like that. And just having a chat about, oh no, they don't have the one I want, blah blah blah. And I could hear like a hint of an Australian accent. And their mother was like, look, because she saw me coming over. She goes, look, just get out of the way from the gentleman. And there's just this silence. And one of them goes, the gentleman? And like question mark. And I could hear the t tension build in her because it was kind of like, oh, please don't say he's no gentleman or something like that. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait to see how this plays out. And then one of the kids just goes, just again, a beautiful, beautiful comedic timing. And he goes, ooh la la. Oh, it tickled me so much. And just the Australian ooh la la. And I
I
just like,
can't even I can't do Australia. I can do like Irish, Scottish, British.
mhm.
I can't do Australian, nor can I hear it in my head.
It's a tough one. But like it was just I just laughed so
Ooh la
hard.
la. You got ooh la la by a
Ooh la
child.
la, red chat. And it was just the wee hint of the Aussie accent in ooh la la as well really made me very happy. So yeah. So that was good. That was a good way to cap off my trip as well.
Good. It's
But yeah, um,
a good way to start the year.
it is. Um, So we already started with our recurrent at the start of the episode. Do we have
Do you
anything
have?
else? No, that
Not
I do.
really.
No, I don't really think I do. I have something I was going to discuss, but I think I'll maybe push it for another episode. Um, so I think now might be a good time to get on to our topic for this week, which is, oh God, I haven't come up with a name again. I've just written down normal.
You said fucking normal earlier. Normal
Being
or normal,
normal.
normal, normal.
Normal is good. Again, working it out in the pod
We'll
again.
figure it out.
You'll see it
Yeah.
on here.
Yep.
You'll see it already. You'll be like, fucking this, you idiots.
Period.
Um, but I suppose what occurs to me, and it's something that, certainly language and meaning of words and stuff like that is always completely fluid. But like, it is such a definition, almost like a kind of status quo almost that I kind of, and it's always something that I've really kind of pushed back against this kind of definition of what normal is, possibly because I've never felt anything resembling normal. But as a result, I thought it would be worthy of discussion.
Yeah. So it's interesting, like my reaction when you were like, what about this topic? And I was like, but then I
Yeah,
was like, no, like if I'm already having this big of a reaction, like this is something we definitely need to talk about.
I
So then
agree.
I started to like dig in, okay, like what's the definition? And like granted, there are like many definitions of normal, but like from, I would like to say the Oxford English Dictionary, but
Hmm.
from Google,
Sure.
it's conforming to a type, standard, or regular pattern, a characterization by that which is considered usual, typical, or routine. So it comes from the 17th, but like the actual word, not the concept, comes from English verbiage, which I don't think is actually a word, but I'm using it anyway, around the 17th century from
Hmm.
Latin normalis, which means made accordingly to the carpenter's square, forming a right angle, which I really liked. This right angle sense was among the earliest of those applied to normal in English. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Because so it's not even that old then in the grand scheme of things. Well, I mean, I suppose if you trace it back to its Latin roots, then maybe ancient,
Yeah.
but like in terms of the
Yes.
English language,
Mm-mm.
relatively new in the grand scheme of
And
things.
I wonder, like, because our culture is, I mean, we're all an offspring of English British culture.
It's true.
So, but for other cultures, like but our countries at least, like I wonder if other cultures have as much of like a concept of normal.
That's interesting. And it's always kind of interesting finding out whenever, like how it informs, people's way of thinking whenever, obviously the mindset but also like the words that we use, how we describe our reality
Mhm.
has a big impact on thing and, people's society, as whole societies. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't even looked at that. I'm gonna, search my mind garden right now for
Yeah, you
other.
should. So, it's basically like average, common,
Yeah.
usual, typical, like those are all different um thesaurus words you could use. But I was also thinking like normal changes. So normal is like a fluid thing, right?
Hmm.
Like normal 50 years ago is very different than the normal that we have today.
Yes.
I also think, because I was, and then I was like, well, when is normal helpful?
Yes.
And I was like, never. And then I was like, no, actually, for medical stuff, it is like that
Yes.
gives you need a baseline.
Yes. Agree.
And so in that regard, like you need some concept of what normal is, and you have math and science to back that up a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I
Uh,
think, so go ahead.
no, I know. I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I think that like it's interesting how that has almost become like, you know, uh, I can only speak a little bit in terms of how that word's used in actual scientific biological work or all that sort of stuff, but it seems to have become the like catch-all for all of those things, like the one word to rule them all.
Yeah.
And like when putting this together, I was thinking about like other words that are kind of like I think I prefer. like almost standard now as a kind of alternative because it reflects a kind of baseline, like a median sort of concept, to me better than
Mhm.
normal does. Like normal to me, because I'm so punk rock, as we know, feels like the thing that I really kind of want to reject, like I'm
Yeah.
like, look, normal's
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah. Um, so like you had sent me a concept about normal that prompted this whole
Hmm.
conversation around like, like looks and body
Yeah.
image and all that kind of stuff. And that is um
Okay. A bit more nightmarish,
I
possibly.
well, I think normal can be harmful.
Yes, I agree completely.
I think normal can be harmful. And like right now, I don't think you get it as much in the States or out of the States. But in the States right now, like the normal body image that everybody wanted was like the Kardashian,
Yeah.
amplified everything. And now Ozempic has hit the market, and now we're back to like, the heroin chic days of the 90s. And Brave pants are back. So
Wait, what pants?
Brave pants, Braver pants.
Oh, I don't know what they are. I'm gonna check
They're
them
fat
out.
pants, man. I had these pants.
Okay,
I think,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. All right.
So coincidence? I don't know.
Okay.
Um, but I think uh I think,
Uh-huh.
raising a 10-year-old daughter has changed a lot of what I think about this concept of normal and body normality. And like,
Yes.
and it's already I we don't talk about bodies in the house. Like we
Yep.
just don't. I'm not like, I don't like that I look fat in this or whatever. Like I don't want that kind of talk around them at
Yep.
all. But my daughter, we took her shopping and she was like, I just don't like my belly. My belly's so big. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it's just I haven't talked to you about this, but that's something that I feel and I just haven't, had the bravery to tell you. And I was like, oh, honey, like you are perfect.
Yep.
Your body is healthy. Your body gets you to school. Your body lets you run. There's nothing wrong with your body. And everybody is very different, you
Absolutely.
know? And so, like, that kind of stuff, it just like breaks my fucking heart.
Yeah. I like
And we've all been there.
100%. And I feel like, as we talked about in like advertising the episode before, this idea of uh, uh um how that's weaponized in advertising to like make people feel less than, and it's so fucked up. Do you know what I mean? It really is, and it feels like it's getting hypercharged in recent years in terms of the more miserable and stuff and unhappy we are with bodies, with our lifestyles, with whatever, the more we'll kind of buy. And I think, it is the concept of normal, or, it's almost become like the concept of perfect, right? It's completely unobtainable because like what
Yeah.
the fuck is it? It's completely ridiculous, but yeah, it's like I feel like, suggesting to certain people that they are not normal would cause them to completely melt down, like it feels like such a, of course I'm normal. It's fine. That's just, what I should be. Um, yeah, it's a tough one to navigate.
I also think beliefs, like belief
Yes,
systems. This
absolutely.
is so normal. This is how it should be. Like, you know, pushing ideas of normality onto people is also an area that I push back on and pisses me off.
No, I agree. Like, so there's one of the things I wanted to bring up was, I think I've talked to you a bit about him before, and you may be aware of him. There's a documentary filmmaker called Adam Curtis, and he has done tons of like, he just does documentaries about kind of fairly major cultural shifts. He did one a few years ago, a name of which I will forget. I will try to find that out, but it was essentially about Russia and the change from its communist society to what it is currently. And it was 5 parts, and it just kind of took you gradually through that, and it was kind of fascinating in, you know,
7 hours?
yeah, it's what
Wow.
was, yeah, it's a lot. Like,
Russia, 1985 to 1999, the trauma
what's it
zone.
called?
I just
Trauma
had
zone.
that in my, I had
It's
that in
like
my mind garden.
Well, thank you. It's like, and I've got to say, I really would have been like, be like, oh God, 7 hours. But it's broken up into episodes. But I loved it, and he uses so much footage that he has managed to acquire from like the Soviet Union and things like that. And it's such a fascinating insight into that culture, but also kind of like the sadness of once kind of the specter of communism sort of gradually sort of collapsing, and like the desire to have something new and something healthy, and like it essentially became co-opted by all these oligarchs who just kind of like took control of industries and like sucked all this money out of the country and kind of left it with whatever it is now. Um, but he had a documentary called Hypernormalization, and it came out, and it's I think a bit more palatable. It's probably only a couple of hours long, and
You
it's
hear me? I was like 7 hours.
and now you're like, yikes. And I agree, and
I was
I
like, wow,
would,
you committed.
I really did. Like I didn't, yeah. As I say, it was split up, and I saw it was 7 episodes, so it was more manageable, and I really like I enjoyed it. Though thinking back, I'm thinking about like some of my miserable Christmases. I think I watched this 2 Christmases ago. Is there some connective tissue here to why
Uh-huh,
you were feeling
uh-huh.
so low, Andy? Anyway. Oh yeah, yeah. But hypernormalization is kind of about this idea. So like back in the kind of I think 70s, 80s, this idea of crafting a concept of like normal that you could like get people to kind of agree upon, that could then be used to kind of manipulate and control society for the benefit of, the political class, the upper class, and so on and so forth. But very interesting, and like he really kind of deals with some really kind of heavy topics, but he has a really kind of like a conversational, kind of engaging tone that he kind of does it with, and it's a really kind of he always like talks about interesting subjects.
I love it. I'm gonna watch it. Adam
Yeah,
Curtis?
Alan Curtis.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it's definitely more palatable in terms of length. Yeah, only
so
merely 3 hours. Sorry.
I know, right? Okay. No, I love a good I love when I can like dedicate 7 hours to something,
Sure.
not in entirety, but like that way I don't have to hunt and peck for something good to watch.
Yeah.
So, like, do you feel that there are like cultural rules or like any rules in your life that are written that you'd rather not follow that you have to?
Oh God, that's a good question. Like I have a lot of frustration. The thing that I've been really been, and I've been ch chatting a lot about this recently, is um drug use in this country. Like, so what I'm thinking of more than anything, and this is relevant because I've talked about it on here, but like I quit, weed about 8 months or so ago,
Mhm.
and I don't have any massive desire to go back to it, but I would love for it to be legalized in this country so I could just go and get an edible maybe once a week and just have an edible on a weeknight. I'm not doing much and just chill out and like watch a movie or whatever. But like so much of the objection to that is, you've been told this is a bad thing. All drugs are like, grouped into the same thing. Um, and what frustrates me about that is how normalized alcohol use is in this country, and
Yeah.
how like it's everywhere, it's advertised everywhere. It's like there's I think I've talked about a little bit about this before. There's like greeting cards that say like Prosecco clock and like jokes about getting drunk, and I'm just kind of like, this is fucked, considering like how we all know it's very common knowledge how damaging alcohol is, how in terms of like drugs, it's far and away the worst in terms of the people, the lives it ruins, like the bodies it ruins, and so on and so forth. It's so that's the one that really kind of gets to me, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting living in a state because it's not every state doesn't have legal
Yeah.
marijuana here, but the states like, I mean, I've only lived in states that have where it is legalized, and how quickly people got on board, and like there are billboards everywhere, like Cannabis Club,
Yeah.
21 plus, meaning 21 age or over can go. Um, uh, it, it's not, I would have thought that there would be more stigma, or the
Yeah.
stigma would last longer, because there was a stigma when I was like in college. But really, when people know's mothers are like, oh, I got my own edibles and brought them for sleeping or whatever, like everybody's hip to it, and it's pretty crazy. Uh, and I agree, like no one ever got cirrhosis from smoking too much weed, right?
Exactly. And so something that as in a conversation I had recently, and I think it's like absolutely to our detriment as a society, to as like, trying to let people live good lives. Because so one of the things that a conversation, I'll keep this as vague as possible, a conversation with a friend recently, and her father-in-law has trauma, has PTSD from a job that he used to have, and it's pretty bad. And as a result, he can't stop drinking. And she is like more open-minded and like she went through, her own stuff. She's navigated some stuff herself. And she's been reading a lot about, ayahuasca, about, mushrooms and
Uh-huh.
experiences that people can take and how they can, not cure you necessarily, but maybe give you a different perspective on, a situation that's went on in your life and
Mhm.
how that can be really helpful and healthy. And and he like the very concept of that is ridiculous to him because it's like, well, obviously I can't do that because all that stuff's illegal. Also he is religious, so it's like, oh, that's the devil stuff. But like again, alcohol is fine within that, underneath that sort of system, which is just so frustrating, and I can see because like, and we had a nice conversation about it where I was talking about options to maybe like push him towards, but I think she knows that it's ultimately not going to get too far just because he is conceptually so resistant to that concept.
Mhm. And it is hard because, at least with alcohol, like once you're kind of like in that loop where, I have family members who are alcoholics, it's like you can't get out of it, right?
Yeah,
You wake up hungover, you have a drink, to get to just feel like normal. And it's like a drug in that regard where
yeah,
you just have to keep feeding the beast. But um, yeah, the damage it does is pretty significant.
it's such a scary one, and like I mean that but it's like it's for a long time. I mean, I think it's probably still the case in this country, but if you were to not drink on a night out with friends, it would be like, what
You're
are you
not
doing?
drinking.
Yeah.
You're not drinking.
Very much so. And like I have actually whenever because I went through a period of time about a year, 2 years or so where I wasn't drinking, and actually somebody said to me, you're not drinking, why not? And I'm like, I'm just not at the minute. And it's like it's not like a judgment on you. They're like kind of feels like it is. And I'm like, that's wild to me that you would think what I'm doing for me, it reflect on you. It's scary.
I don't think we have as much. I mean, we have the cards where we're like, it's wine o'clock and
Yeah.
like rosé all day,
Yeah.
t-shirts, and brunch is synonymous with like bottomless mimosas, and like it's definitely, but it's not, I will say it's not built in to our culture as much. And
Yeah.
like I live in California. Now there's this phrase, it's called California. Have you heard of California sober?
No.
So like everyone's trying to be California sober, which means you don't drink alcohol, but you get as high as you possibly can whenever you want, but you don't drink alcohol, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, there are now like sober bars that you can go to
Uh-huh.
where you can actually socialize. They have like drinks that you can drink that none of it have any alcohol in it. So, but you're around other
Yeah.
people that also aren't drinking and just kind of want to be in that environment where no one is like, why aren't you drinking? And those are starting to spring up. Like people
Interesting.
have like food trucks that you can bring to like your parties where it's sober curious, it's a
I
whole, it's a thing that's happening,
love
which
it.
I don't know how, you know, it's like big tobacco is an arm of like the alcohol industry
Yes,
too. And so it's like I'm sure they're all freaking out and trying to,
100%.
figure out how to
But
make a social tonic that doesn't have alcohol so they can keep making money.
I think that's why so many alcohol companies are pivoting into the kind of non-alcoholic drinks market.
Yeah.
Like they've
Yeah.
all got one right now. But it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I mean, like I'm at the stage now, whereas where if and I've had a few non-alcoholic beers and they've been fine, but I'm kind of like, I don't, if I'm going to have a beer, I'll have a beer. I don't want to take the
The
calorie
caloric
sort of
intake.
hit,
Yeah.
caloric hit without like a little bit of that like buzz, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? If I'm
Yeah.
drinking, I'm gonna have a drink. But obviously if you're driving and stuff like that, that changes things.
No, like in
Um,
LA, there's a store that actually sells, and sorry, we're just like rolling
sorry,
on this topic, but there's a store where you can go and you can buy non-alcoholic vodka, non-alcoholic whiskey, like all these that have the flavor, but don't
interesting.
actually get you drunk. And I'm like, there's no way I would spend money on that. I would just drink like
To me, and I
soda
suppose
water.
it's actually great for them because like they're probably not having to pay the alcohol tax. They're all like
Yeah,
any sort of drinks I've seen, like these sort of
yeah, that's true.
these spirit replacements for like gin and whiskey and things like that, tend to have the same sort of price as a bottle of whiskey. But
But they're not paying the tax.
yeah, so yeah, those
So probably
bastards.
not selling as much of it, but
No, still making
we'll
a
see. We'll
healthy
see.
profit. Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the parts of you that you would deem would be not normal or not
Oh
common
God.
or unusual?
Like most of it, like
Yeah.
90%.
And what of those parts do you like?
Yeah, God, depends on the day, right? And I think I've talked about already today. I'm in a pretty good place, so I don't mind myself today. I think I prefer I yeah, right. Such a as good as it gets with me sometimes. Um, I am not normal at all, I don't think. And although it comes with a lot of pain, mostly self-inflicted in my life. I would rather be this way and think this way than not.
Mhm.
Even though it comes with a kind of fairly heavy cost, sometimes it's, I wouldn't want to, I feel like in life, so many people just let things like wash over them and don't like engage with stuff. And it just looks like such a passive way to live. And that's fine. If that works for you, that's fine. But it just really kind of depresses me, and I'm kind of happy that I don't engage with life that way.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think we would be friends if you were like a normal person.
Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly.
And I like that. I would say that the majority of the people that I hold closest are like, I like
Weirdos.
that I like that I never kind of quite know what's going to come out of, your mouth. And like,
Yes.
um, our conversations are always interesting. And, like, well, yeah, so I think for me, I've had, I've always sort of like recognized the structure
Hmm.
and been like, all right, like I'm at this age and this is how I'm supposed to be feeling, but like I don't subscribe to that. And I
Yes.
know that this period will pass and then, all the things that seem to matter so much right now won't actually matter. So I'm really not going to really get into that really,
Yeah.
like in school or whatever.
I like I can see the comfort in it, like this idea of just slotting into something and it's there and it's like prepackaged and blah blah blah. But like ultimately it's all kind of built on a house of cards. It's all bullshit, you know. And I think that that causes a certain amount of dissonance in people. Like I think that's why you see people just flipping out about things. Like it's what you know. I
This isn't normal.
yes, you know,
Sorry.
like just
Sorry for yelling.
what? No, it's normal. But like you know the way you like see people who are like live very kind of straightforward normal lives, and then they just like have these kind of like flip outs, or people who have like such anger problems, and it's like this is to me certainly connected to the fact that you're probably not engaging with life in any sort of like literal way. It's all kind of like this is the way I have been told it should be. If it isn't going that way, why not? I don't understand it. It's freaking me out. So I just think it's like I think it must be mentally taxing. I mean, like as I say, because I don't engage with life that way, I don't fully understand. I mean, I certainly engage with life in a mentally taxing way, just differently,
Right,
differently so, you know.
right. Um, so what are the normal parts of yourself that you do love?
Um, I
Or I'm air quoting normal,
Sure, sure,
obviously.
sure, sure, sure. I think that like, and it's something that I've one of the reasons why I've always felt that I don't really need religion is that, and it's probably to do with like my upbringing, things like that, is I think I'm good at treating people with respect and kindness and like, holding space for people and things like that. And I I do it, I do it for like selfish reasons as well because I'm genuinely interested in people and I love hearing people talk about themselves and, or just having interesting conversations with people. But like I think that's the thing that I think that like basically, even though I feel like there's a lot, I think like humanity as a mass can be quite mean-spirited and nasty. I think that individual people are oftentimes quite kind either because they've been forced to be or because of their religion or because of blah blah blah. So I think that's the normal part of me that I like. It's a humble brag, right? You know what I like about myself?
You're allowed
It's
to,
so it's so
I
calm.
asked. I asked.
You
And
did.
you had to provide an answer.
I did. Thank you. You put me in a box there, Beth. What about you?
I think, I was thinking about it and like, I have followed a pretty traditional path of like falling in love, getting married, having kids.
Hmm.
So I would say that's probably, getting a house, but like within that structure, like that's the most normal thing I've done, right?
Hmm.
But within that structure, I've fucked shit up.
Hell yeah, you have.
Like
Hmm.
within that I live it my way,
Yep.
like leaving the state that you know I knew, and leaving the country to basically it's just I run away to avoid normalcy, maybe.
Can relate.
But
Yep.
I
Hmm.
know, leaving the country to get out of the holiday fray,
Yeah.
the way we raise our kids and uh the values that we instill in them are probably, a lot of people would think of that not being very normal. But it's working for us kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so I guess like I love that I'm able to be my really like blaze my own trail within this box of normal,
Yes.
if
100%.
that makes any sense at all.
It does. It really does. Um, I, it's, it, I know, and I like it, and I think that's as it should be. And I think, because like, I think, thinking about these things sometimes, and like the structures you talk about, like marriage and stuff like that, and that being considered a normal path. I mean, like, I don't think that, you know, not all normal things are bad in that way necessarily. And like some of them, as long as you can make them work for you, can be absolutely fantastic. It's when they're done as like a kind of very rote set of like instructions or like systems that problems start to happen, in my opinion. but it's like I just think that like so many I see it in people where I, that was the thing I was trying to get to my head was kind of fritzing out there for a second. But one of the things that frustrates me about society, and one of the normal things about society, is how competitive people are, and like this sort of need to like be button heads with everybody. And like I understand why that was probably a fairly necessary factor in us, improving as humans and building society and kind of getting to where we are. But I feel like there's a lot of aspects of that that are inherently negative and inherently like damaging to people that just aren't investigated, that aren't really looked at. There's, so much of that sort of interaction. Like, it's one of the things I've been thinking about recently in terms of like male friendship. And I have some wonderful open male friends, but a lot of kind of male friendship, and I also have friends like this, can be quite, competitive and like button heads and like, kind of making fun of people in ways that are just, that are just kind of accepted as, well, that's just how it is, rather than going,
Why?
why? But it's not good. So why do we keep doing it?
Yeah.
It's just easy to kind of keep doing stuff that I think is inherently damaging a lot of the time, rather than doing the hard work of really kind of investigating that. But so yeah, was that a coherent thought?
It
We
it
still on?
was. It
Okay.
was. And I would say like I think, and I'm generalizing a lot right now,
Yeah,
but it's a very generalized
it
topic.
is.
I think, what's normal for men and friendship and how men should be is very different than how normal, you know, w this idea of being female and
Yeah,
like uh they're different. I think yours is more, I don't know. I feel like women, the physicality of us
yeah,
is a huge thing,
I
right?
agree
Like
completely.
what's normal for, and I read an article the other day about how Hollywood has menopause, meaning like all these women over, 45 or 50 are getting all these roles and are winning awards and
Yeah,
like you know, and I'm like, why are like what is it meant like Demi Moore should be still working,
I agree.
right? And
Yep,
when she, she just won an award last night. She
she
got
did.
her first award. Did you read this? It's her first award she's ever won ever.
That's ridiculous.
I know. I know. So,
Consider how
yeah,
big a star she was. That's
I
absolutely
know.
fucking
And
wild.
right. And for The Substance, which like she's
Yeah,
done much better movies. I
yeah,
love that movie. It was wonderful, but like um whatever. So I think I think I hate that for myself and for like all, people that identify as female, like
yeah,
this idea that, that you have an expiration date and that's normal.
yeah. I agree. That's a fact
Yeah.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It is. It's a
Yay.
nightmare. Yeah.
Yay.
It's, but like it's, I think really in terms of like what we've been chatting about, and it's interesting because like I wasn't sure where this conversation would go. Whenever like I did bring it up, what we would talk about it, but it's been really interesting, and like I think it is such a huge topic, really, because like the idea of being normal being fairly damaging and things like that really kind of affect, I think, everyone in like some way, shape, or form, I mean, I think probably the West is significantly worse for it. But I think it's just ultimately really worth just taking a look at things in your life. If there's systems that aren't working for you, don't be afraid to reject them. Like as long as you're like holding close like certain core tenets, like treating people decently. If things are damaging for you, it can be good to kind of reflect on those and maybe go, well, what can I change here?
What and honestly, like it, because I have had to do that, right? Like I I don't have like my life is not normal, right?
Yeah,
I'm on disability. I can't work. I told Andy this off pod, like I'm in the worst fibromyalgia flare I've ever had.
yeah,
My body is not normal. I can't be normal, right? And like on the one hand, when I'm really in it, it fucking sucks. But on the other hand, like it gives me a freedom that I've never had before, and I'm still trying to figure out what do I do with all that?
Yeah.
What do I do with all that? But
How
it's
you process
been,
that? Yeah.
yeah, but even though I complain to Andy all the time, like it's also, sorry,
No.
it's also, there is freedom there, and I just need to like to figure out. And I hate I hate like when people are like, "Well, I just need to find my new normal." It's like, no, you need to do
Just
the opposite of that.
just you do you, and
And
like in
that
that
came out
regard.
of the pandemic too, because I was
Yeah.
just kind of reading up about this concept of normal, and like this other concept of new normal. New normal kept coming up, and I'm like, what is this talk? Like what, where and why? And it's that came out of the pandemic. Like, what does my new normal look like? And then everybody forgot all the work that they did and all the new normal that they wanted to have
Yep.
and went back to their old normal.
And I also think it's just their safety in it. Like even though and it feels like other people are doing it, so there must be something there. But it always kind of quite surprises me. And I feel like we all slip into this mode to an extent within our lives, but like all too often, people, even when they notice, okay, I'm in this kind of box, this kind of shape to my life, rather than jumping out and going, okay, what can I do now that I have this freedom? They just jump into another box that says, wasn't that old box shit?
Yeah,
And like that's the only real difference a lot of the time. It's still somebody else telling you, how to think, how to dress, how to look, but it's just slightly different, I guess,
yeah.
it's weird.
And I think one of the things that always impressed me about you is that you would get to a point in life and be like, I need to try something new.
Hmm.
And you would do the same thing. You would leave and put yourself in a completely different environment
It's
and
true.
really not have any sort of normal at all until you figured out how to live within that culture. I'm
Yeah.
watching Squid Game right now, so obviously like your time in South Korea is on my
Oh
mind.
yeah. Hmm.
Squid Game too.
But I
Watch
think
it. It's good.
well, like I think we both do well in that regard. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, all the sort of decisions that you've made and kind of charting your own path within, as I say, we're all like in these systems. It's really hard to avoid, but like
Mhm.
I think we both do a really good job of actually kind of making these things our own in ways that I don't. Not entirely uncommon, and I see and I'm blessed. I think we're both kind of blessed to have friends who really do chart their own paths in a lot of ways,
Yep.
but like I see a lot of people who don't really do that quite as much. So it's nice.
Yeah. Good job.
Good job. Congratulations, us. So we'll end this episode with just patting each other on the back.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job, Andy and Beth. But yeah, such a big topic. It's something we can almost come back to someday but if you've got any thoughts on it at home, we'd certainly love to hear them. Do you have anything else you want to mention just before we move off this?
I just think it's just like this acceptable standard of like unwritten rules
Yeah.
that we follow. And I do think that, you know, with all of our free time, which I probably have more than most, it's worth reflecting a little bit and being like, am I doing this because I want to, or am I doing this because this is checking that normal box, or this is
Yeah.
kind of what society is dictating that I do? And I really do think that, the more we live our lives for ourselves, the more we can live our lives for other people,
Yes.
you know? And and from that, change happens. And so I guess don't conform where you don't want to,
Yeah.
and
You don't need to.
um think about what's right and wrong.
I love it. I guess a lovely, lovely way to end this episode and this topic. Well, not entirely end the episode, obviously, but get off our subject at least anyway.
Right.
Um, love it. Um, okay, so just oh God, leaving this in. Right.
Hey,
Okay.
you know what? At
What?
least you didn't do it at the intro.
That's true. That's true for a change. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I got lit up here for no good reason. I'm a professional. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to our favorite topic. Always our first for of 2025. What's been bringing you joy this week or this festive season, I guess.
What's been bringing me joy? Do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
So I made a new friend over the past few weeks, and he's just really come into my life, really bringing joy. He had a birthday recently, so he was a carpenter, but he actually meant a lot to a lot of people. Yeah, I'm talking about Jesus Christ. I'm only joking. I really
Ah,
wasn't sure what to do for joy. It's I wasn't sure how long I could spiel that out. Anyway, I do actually
it's
literally have
terrible.
something. It was
Okay.
I wish I could have written it out. I reckon I could have really extended that had I really thought about it. Anyway, right. So,
I was ready to hiss right away.
boo. All right. I was hoping your reaction would be Jesus Christ, and I was like, yeah, that's the guy. Anyway.
You know where I went?
Uh-huh.
To the Book of Mormon
Oh yes.
musical. Uh-huh.
So good. Had you seen it before?
I saw it. I've seen it twice now,
Okay,
and I think I'm
it's
going
so
to see
good.
it. I know it's so good. Yeah,
Mm. So the one thing that did bring me joy and what I really loved was I watched there's a John Williams documentary on Disney Plus. Uh
the composer,
yes.
so
And
good.
so
I listened to his. They have like a Spotify playlist of all of
oh,
his
interesting.
music.
Have you seen this yet?
No, it's like
Okay,
I need to obviously
you'll
because
love it.
I'm a fan.
It's like what was interesting to me is obviously like I know a lot of his major film scores, of course, but he worked but like he was I think early 40s before he really started working in film, and he'd been working in TV for the longest time, and like the amount of felt like huge like TV scores and stuff that he worked on that I love. The one in particular was he wrote the Lost in Space theme tune, which I fucking love.
I didn't
That's
know that.
a song that's glued in my brain. But like it was just wonderful, and he seems like such a lovely man. And it was just such a it's such a and like he has a bit of a heartbreaking story as well. But such a really kind of fascinating look into his life, and also just you see what like kind of quality he brought to those movies, like how he like
You
completely changed
can't
the
have
game,
Indiana Jones without the Raiders merch.
or Jaws, or Star
No,
Wars, or any of those. Like there's so
Jurassic
much.
Park. Yeah. Da,
Yes,
da,
he's
da, da, da.
a master, like an absolute master. So it's
Yeah.
so fascinating, and it was just such a joy listening to all his music as well. So I highly recommend that.
I cry when I hear the Jurassic Park theme song.
Do you
I
know the
mean, I
words?
can't.
I'm a dinosaur, just a dinosaur.
No.
It's a lament. This dinosaur kind of singing towards the moon, like
Oh, I
like
see.
like Fievel and Fievel
An
an American Tail.
American Tail.
Yeah,
I just love a good French horn, I
yeah,
guess.
absolutely.
That's a good joy. I'm
Yeah,
gonna probably spend today because I have no I'm Andy knows I've been in bed. I'm going back to bed after this and I'm gonna watch that documentary.
do.
Yeah. And it learned something instead of watching the Summer House on Bravo.
Uh-huh.
Um, so my joy is we watched all of Game of Thrones
Nice.
uh for the third time.
Oh wow.
I saw your roommate.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Sure
Uh-huh.
did. And I just I love that fucking show. It
Yeah.
took me we didn't start watching it until COVID, I think.
Hmm.
So like I wasn't part of like the when everyone else was like posting about it, and I
Yeah.
wasn't part of the water cooler conversations, which I am always cool with because then I get to like form my own opinions, and like
Yes.
watching the last couple episodes again, and like I know everyone has a different opinion on how the ending should have gone,
Yeah.
but like I made peace with it this time
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. I already knew what happened and I just like let myself like be taken away with the story without being like Jon Snow should have been,
Yeah.
right. And it's like I'm sure at some point they're going to bring him back and tell the tale of what happens after.
I
And
mean, like, considering there's been like a Harry Potter, there's currently a Harry Potter complete rework happening right now. There's every chance that show will get made again at some point in the future. So who knows?
I think that they actually like had something in the works where they were gonna
I mean,
have the history after he like walks they I don't want to ruin the ending, but
no,
he's
I,
back on the wall and then he goes north with the
the
wildlings. So
Wildlings, like, and I
yeah.
think that because I think House of the Dragon's been pretty good for them, and they also have
Yeah.
like two other shows in production. So I think this thing will go on for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I
good.
also I love the way that they always refer to him by his first and last name the entire
Yeah.
8 seasons or whatever, 7 seasons, 6 seasons.
It's just like for
Jon
like
Snow.
it's a
And then I
different.
repeat it. They're like, you're nothing, Jon Snow. And I'm like, Jon Snow.
All those northern accents is great. Yeah, it's just like a diss, isn't it? Like it's just like
Yeah.
you bastard.
You bastard.
Yeah, yeah. Love it. Good one.
Anyways,
Great.
Game of Thrones. Watch it
Okay.
if you
Yes, I
haven't.
do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
What's Game of
slow. I
Thrones?
know. I recognize this. I know.
Oh. Okay. Beth, can you let everybody know where they can find us?
You can find us at bendypodcast.com and yeah, check us out.
Yeah, you can find all our links to all our different social media sites in there.
Yes.
Awesome, guys. In that case, we'd like to prep you. I'm going to prep you first for our first one of 2025. We'd like
Oof.
to remind you to
Stay
Bendy.
bendy. I
Running.
feel like we should have like a Wicked reference or like
Oh
you hold my
God,
finger or
yeah.
something, but whatever. It's
I'll
like,
work on those, whatever we have, whenever we put effort into these podcasts.
I
Anyway.
know. Never.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.